there, and today I'm super excited to be talking to you about how to make Repopulate Mars style full minimal tech house tracks. I've learned a bunch of new techniques for making this style of house that I want to show you guys today, including some stuff about like making the kick from scratch and all that kind of stuff that I haven't covered before. So yeah, as usual, you can get the full project file, samples, MIDI, presets, everything from this track is available at the top of the description. Thank you for everybody who goes and picks this up. Not only do you get a really awesome template with some really high quality samples and MIDI and presets, some of the best on the market in my opinion, but also it really helps support me. You know, every sale helps keep me going so I can keep bringing you guys new videos every day. I don't make a whole lot just off of YouTube, but with these sample packs and stuff like this, I'm able to keep going. Link is at the top of the description, and let's dive in, guys. Alright, so here's the project for the track, and the first thing that we have up here is the kick. So as you can hear, it's a pretty boomy and hard-hitting kick. And this is the first thing I want to talk about. I think a lot of times people, when you think of like minimal tech house, you know, you might think, oh, it's like kind of a smaller kick, right? Like it's not quite as hard as say like an EDM kick or something like that, or a techno kick. But actually the truth is, for one, this is actually hitting harder than the EDM kick, and two, that's not really what you want. You really need your kick to be like full and just really hard hitting and fat. And the way that you make these types of kicks, like you hear in all of these tracks, it's a 909 kick. So that's what I have here. And then here's what it sounds like dry. This is called tech house kick, but you can ignore that. It's just a kick from a 909. The famous drum machine, of course. And then we're multi-band distorting it. And essentially, that is where the magic comes. Because you go from this to this. So you can see it allows you to really take control of the kick and get it sounding really fat and full. And the reason why we do it multi-band instead of just dropping distortion on the whole thing is essentially this. If I drop a distortion on this whole thing, so if you listen for like the mid-range and highs, right, you'll notice that stuff sounds pretty good. Like the highs are actually a lot punchier now. The problem becomes the low mid-range. And then the low end, right? It just messes those up. So this is why we want to do the multi-band distortion, is because this allows us to go and we can still distort the highs and get that punch that we know is going to come from that. But without also messing up the low end like we would be doing if we just dropped that same overdrive on everything. So I've got, these are the highs. These are the mids. And then these are the lows. And you'll notice that we typically keep the lows dry because usually like it's going to be pretty solid already coming out of the 909. But then if you notice, the lows are the loudest chain. So it's just like keeping that, preserving the low end, which was fine, and then just turning it up. So you still get that nice, big, boomy, like, boom, like you want. So yeah, that's how you're going to make the kick from scratch. And you can take, like, any 909 sample and drop it into here. And you're probably going to have to tweak the distortion a little bit. This is a very, I don't want to say it's a finicky method of designing a kick, but it's something that just really depends on the input, right? Like, every single kick that you put into this is going to be a little bit different. But ultimately, this is the method to get this style of a kick from scratch. Then we have the bass line. Now the bass line's really simple, and that's what really this is about. It's not about like, you can see, you know, really, it's really simple notes. It's just mostly just one note, just G sharp, and then we have this minor third here, this B. But then it's not so much about the notes, the actual notes that are being played, but really about like the placement and how that fits with the kick and how you get that bounce and that groove. And also kind of thinking of this as like two different halves. We have this part and then this part. This part over here is going to be the call, the do-na-na, and then the do-do-do over here. That is the response. Because like if we just take that call and just repeat it, you can see you don't really, it's not as impactful. It's really about the relationship between like this half and then this half. And then thinking of that on like, you know, a very simple level, right? Like not trying to do it by adding more notes or anything like that. more notes to the scale, I mean, but by just using the notes that you've already used, you know, but in a different rhythm. And this kind of goes back to the minimal thing, right? Like, the idea of making something minimal is essentially like focusing in on what are the qualities about it that are kind of like the foundation that we can go and just work within that. And that's what this is. So then for the sound on this one, it's also a pretty simple sound. So this is just a sine wave with another sine wave and then another sine wave on top of that, doing a bit of FM. And then we have those going into a low pass filter. Here's without that. And then with it. So you can hear it just makes it a little bit deeper. Now the idea behind this bass is that we're using, so these first two oscillators kind of create like the tone. And then this third oscillator is just on there to add a bit of punch. Here's without it. And then with it. So you can hear when you add it, you get more of that like kind of punchy bass. And yeah, and then we just low pass that because you want it to still be like really deep and low end focused. And then I just have a bit of drum bus on that to fatten it up, and then an auto pan, which makes it sound like it's being sidechained to the kick. And then on the group there, all we have is just a high pass filter, which is coming on throughout the track. You can see, like, yeah, mostly just in these breaks. Then we have the clap, which is made up of 2 layers. So we got this one. And then this one. So you can hear that we're kind of getting like a very like nice and short clap that's punchy in the mid-range, and then a longer clap that's also got some of those bright highs to it. And yeah, that's just like straight layering. There's no processing on those. It's just 2 sounds that fit together really well, and that's all that we're really focused on. Then we have these chord stabs. So these are made using a bunch of mine. These are actually from my Definitive Deep Minimal House chord stabs packs, like from the first 2 of them. Where is it? These 2 packs. So if you have them, you already have these samples. But essentially what I've done is I've got 2 here, which are being laid out like just literally in the arrangement view. And then 2, which are being done with MIDI. And the reason why we're doing this is just to show you different methods of it. So you'll notice that with these 2 up top, I've actually reversed them. And it's actually 3, because this is a different sample than this. So essentially, those are getting reversed. And you can hear that creates like a really cool... Hold on, I'll play it with the beat. Especially like, you know, some of these would just be like a bit simple. So just having that reversed and then finding where to put it. Like, you don't just drop it right on the beat like that, but kind of moving it a little so that you get that perfectly on the time. That's the idea there. And then for the MIDI stabs, these 2 are kind of doing their own grooves. So if you notice, they're kind of doing like call and response with each other, right? Like you get the first one. Like it's kind of like that like back and forth groove between those. And it's kind of the same thing happening with the reverse stabs too. So essentially, it's like we have these 2 different groups of call and responses happening here. And on this stab, yeah, you can see this one actually has a bit of automation on the low pass filter. You can see I just have it coming in and out. You know, a simple way to make it build. You also notice that I put on the envelope on that, which is a really cool way to kind of make these audio stabs your own as well. And then on the group of this, it's pretty simple. It's pretty much what you would expect. We've got some echo, a little bit of reverb, which is just being automated actually in this break. Just all disappear. And then just a little bit of drum bus to fatten that up. And then we have these percussions. Sometimes Ableton just doesn't want to listen. So you can hear, like, it's a lot of little hi-hats and shakers and stuff like that. Like, we got these two on the upbeats with that layered in. So that's sort of like the main hi-hat. And then we have these shakers, like we got this one, like a live one. And yeah, you can see, like, we have two kind of backing that up. And then the only other things here is just this loop, which is just one of my samples. I believe that's actually from the first house music sample pack that I ever released. And then this one, which you can hear just kind of comes in and out. So it's honestly pretty simple. It's just a matter of getting, like, the right sounds and then layering them together. Like in this case here with the main hi-hat, like, any one of these on their own wouldn't be enough to stand out in the track, right? Like if we try to do just, it doesn't really hold up. So it's about getting, like, one to be the one to be the, like, and then one to be like the longer 909 hi-hat, right? Like just understanding that each one of these does its own thing, and then when they come together, that's what really makes it sound good. Then we have the string, which is playing throughout the track. So that's just playing like a long held out note. It's playing G sharp because it's the key that we're in. And then, yeah, you can see the way that I'm doing this here is the technique that I've shown you guys a little bit before, where basically, you know, if you're trying to just make a loop inside a simpler, like, what's going to happen is essentially this. So you kind of get like a weird click every time it restarts. So all you got to do to fix that is you just use the start and length, kind of like set those, and then you turn the fade up, and now it makes like a smooth, endless loop like that. So yeah, it's an easy way to do that string if you don't have like the Korg M1 or like, you know, some other VST like that. And then it's just going through a bit of drum bus. I've got this auto pan, which is just making that kind of have that bounce. And this is why we use auto pan, is because now, even like if we had just sidechained this to get the effect, now in the break you wouldn't still have that rhythm. Now there's still like some motion. And it kind of keeps your head bobbing. Then we have this low pass, which just kind of brings the sound in and out. You'll notice it's almost always moving, so it's very dynamic. And then we just have a bit of reverb. Then underneath that we have this vocal. Hold up, I'll play it right at the end of the break. Yeah, that's really just about the placement, like understanding where to put it, you know, not using it too much, but also not just using it like one time in the track. Like you still want it to be memorable. And that's just going through a bit of echo and a high pass filter. Other than that, we pretty much just like effects. Like we have like this building snare just doing like 16th notes. And then I've got this utility just turning the volume up on that. Pretty simple. We've got like this building like noise. This is one of mine from my definitive track effects pack. I've got like some crashes. There's, let's see, oh yeah, this rim shot just plays a little fill. Yeah, just kind of fun stuff, but it's all pretty simple. With this style of a track, you're not really going to have too many effects. You can see it's very sparse, especially compared to like some other styles of house. It's really just like letting that main groove shine, but making sure that the main groove is good enough to shine on its own. And yeah, so that's gonna be it for this one, guys. I hope you enjoyed. As always, make sure to like this video as well as subscribe, and let me know what you think of this video in the comments. Like I said in the beginning, you can get this full project file, samples, MIDI, presets, everything like that is available for just $10 at the top of the description. This really helps support me. If you guys enjoyed these videos, definitely go pick that up, because you're gonna get a great template, some great samples, some great MIDI and presets as well. Plus, it really helps keep me going so I can keep bringing you guys new videos. Like I said, you know, I don't make a whole lot just off of YouTube ads and stuff like that. but these sample packs allow me to keep going and keep bringing you guys awesome new content every single day. So thank you so much for the support, everybody, and I will see you tomorrow with another video.